This week on Out of the Air, we feature Chicago's post-punk electronic band Theyrgy and their second EP Interrupter release on August 21st. Next, region jazz musician Patti Shaffner shares From the Left Side of My Heart. Our spotlight is on the 2021 Michigan City Video Fest, accepting entries through October 15th, and Chesterton Art Center's October exhibit opening October 3rd.
Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. You're in the know with Esther and Larry. Art on the air today. Stay in the know with Larry and Esther. Art on the air our way. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart.
Welcome. You're listening to Art on the Air on WVLP 103.1 FM and Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM, our weekly program covering arts and arts events throughout Northwest Indiana and beyond. I'm Larry Breckner of New Perspectives Photography, right alongside here with Esther Golden of The Nest in Michigan City.
Aloha, everyone.
We're your hosts for Art on the Air. Art on the Air is supported by an Indiana Arts Commission Arts Project grant through South Shore Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts. Art on the Air streams live at WVLP.org and is rebroadcast on Monday at 5 p.m., plus is also heard on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM every Sunday at 7 p.m., also streaming live at lakeshorepublicradio.org, and is available on Lakeshore Public Radio's website as a podcast. Our spotlight interviews are also heard Wednesdays on Lakeshore Public Radio. Information about Art on the Air is available at our website, breck.com/AOTA. That's Breck, BRECH.com/AOTA. That includes a complete show archive, spotlight interviews, plus our show is available on multiple podcast platforms, including NPR One. Please like us on Facebook, Art on the Air, WVLP, for information about upcoming shows and interviews. And we'd like to welcome to Art on the Air Spotlight. He's in charge and founder of the Michigan City Video Fest, and we have a new competition in 2021, and the submission deadline is October 15th, and he'll be happy to tell us. Dan Sheff, welcome to Art on the Air Spotlight.
Thank you.
Hi.
So, Dan, tell us a little bit about the Video Fest this year, the submission process, and what are you looking for?
Okay, well, it's pretty routine. We're generally looking for short pieces under 5 minutes, and by invitation we do take in longer pieces, and it's any genre. Comedy. It could be architectural, fly through, or whatever. But obviously, the audiences more enjoy comedy. And also seeing themselves in some way.
Also, I think the variety of it is what we all enjoy. I mean, like over all these years, and this is the 7th year of it.
Yeah.
It's it's probably not 2 days this year, I would imagine. I don't know.
No.
But it was always 2 wonderful days of very interesting videos.
With the COVID, we've really lost a lot of. I don't know if it's production is down or what it is, but the submissions are down, way down. But it is fun to. I mean, you have control over the program, and you can make a statement. You can put 2 different videos back to back, and they'll talk to each other. Depending on what their subject matter is. So that's an interesting part of the, at least for me, the programming of the videos.
Dan, is there a public viewing of these now that, assuming we come out of COVID, are you going to have a public viewing?
Yeah, well, yeah, the intention is at the Michigan City Public Library. I got to look at the November 6th. November 7th, that's Saturday, 2 p.m. at the Michigan City Public Library. Right.
Now, when you're our co-founder of this, what brought you to founding the Video Fest?
Well, you probably know here at Chesterton does a short play festival each year. And I directed one of the plays the first year that they had it. And the following year, I was with a friend, Mike Koss, who does video, and he's a graphic artist and all this stuff. And
all around wonderful guy.
Yes. So anyway, the idea is coalesced. Why not do a video fest? Because everybody seems to be making videos and there's a lot of product out there. So that was the genesis, was sort of imitating the 4th Street Theater, their short.
Their 10-minute play festival. And so when you're doing the video fest, or you're looking for nothing longer than 5 minutes, I think you said, and everything. So, but do you have any like age restrictions? Restrictions from, do they have to be in LaPorte County or anywhere?
Well, the preference is for it starts in Michigan City, then expands to LaPorte County, then it goes to northern Indiana. But we've had submissions from Germany and New York and LA in the past, and we'll have a few this year too. But again, I don't know what you call it, our charter is to present the best that we can, but a preference is given to local makers and local subject matter. So
is there any are there any plans to offer it other than going to the Michigan City Public Library? Will there be an online possibility?
I really didn't follow through. I was thinking of packaging it and presenting it to some of the public television stations. But then the more I thought about that, there's legal implications, and they need clearances, and it becomes quite messy. When you do it at the library or at the Nest, you have a lot more freedom just to do what you're doing. So.
I know, it's one of my favorite things. I'm so sad that we're still on pause.
Yeah. Anyway, that's where we are.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for coming on Art in the Air Spotlight. That's the Michigan City Video Fest. Submission deadline is October 15th. If you have to send stuff in person, or actually a hard copy of it that's not viewable online, I think it's a little earlier. And you can find out more information at mcvideofest.com. That's mcvideofest.com. Dan Sheff, thank you so much for being on Art in the Air Spotlight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Larry, I heard that there's something special going on at the Chesterton Art Center from October 3rd to October 31st. Somebody whispered in my ear that there's going to be an exhibit called Through Our Eyes, which is a photographic retrospective of Larry Brechner and his wife, Carol Lynn Brechner. Can you expand on that, please?
Well, yeah, real quickly here while we wrap this up, photography has been a shared passion of us for over 40 years. Even on our honeymoon, we were walking around with cameras, taking things. So our entire married life together, we explore different types of things. We shoot different things. We have completely different styles. But yeah, we're going to do an entire photographic retrospective there through our eyes. And of course, that's going to open October 3rd through the 31st. And reception on October 3rd, 1 to 3 p.m.
Beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you. And that wraps up Art in the Air Spotlight. You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM.
Bright light on fingertips, sweet perfume on skin and lips, rising up to meet the kiss that I know is there.
I'd like to welcome to Art in the Air. She was raised in Gary, Indiana, local musician, just released a brand new album with 14 new songs from the left side of my heart, and we're going to listen to a couple of those songs. Also, she's been around. She was going to go to dental school, but also pursued her music. Please welcome to Art in the Air, Patti Shaffner. Welcome to Art in the Air.
Thanks, Larry and Esther. It's nice to be with you today.
Yeah, welcome, Patti.
Well, Patti, we'd like to talk a little about your background, which we just touched on. I always like to say how you got from where you were to where you are now. So just your whole biography and background.
Okay, so I actually grew up on a farm that was in an unincorporated area between what is known as Gary and was then known as East Gary and is now Lake Station. 360-acre farm, but because of where I was at, I went to the Gary schools, as did my mother. Actually, I went to the grade school in Etna, went to, at that time, our high school and junior high school were together, and I went to Wirt, where my mom graduated from. My dad graduated from Tolliston. And so I graduated from there, and I'll even say in 1969, which was a fine year, actually. It was a really good year. And then I decided to get married, and I had 2 children, 2 sons. And that marriage really just didn't last because sometimes those early marriages don't. At about 6.5 years, I was kind of done. Wiped my hands of that one for lots of reasons, and went on to be a single parent for 14 years. But if I kind of step back a little bit and say that, when I was growing up, my dad was always singing around the house. He loved the jazz standards, and we had lots and lots of music to listen to as I was growing up. So I got a lot of different music in my ears early. And he taught me to sing harmony very early. He loved barbershop. I learned how to sing with him on the When You Were Sweet 16 and those kinds of barbershop songs. And by the time I was in 4th grade, I was given my first solo by our music teacher. And I sang, it was about a tree. I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree, which they had turned into a melody, right? And I had my first taste of being on stage and being center stage. And so that kind of stayed with me. I wrote songs when I got to be about 13 or so and started taking guitar lessons.
Did you do theater in school, Patti? Or
I did not. We did not have a theater program in school. Quite amazingly, Wirt did not have a theater program at that time, and I'm really kind of sad about that because it wasn't until I was an adult that I got involved in theater, and fell in love with it once I did. But no theater, just the music and the talent shows, those sorts of things.
Like choir? Was there choir?
Choir, yes. In fact, as a matter of fact, I was a really strong alto, and because I sang with a lot of gusto, I can recall on numerous occasions the choir teacher telling me, "Shh, you, the alto in the back, not so loud." And
meant for stage.
Meant for stage, indeed, yes. But I wasn't blending well. And so from the choir director's perspective, that sucked.
Right. What theater have you been involved with?
Yes, I actually started out with what is now Chicago Street, but then was known as CTG, or Community Theater Guild, in Valparaiso. And my very first show was a chorus line, and one of the guys I did end up going to dental school, but I became a hygienist and not a dentist.
Okay.
And one of the instructors, Steve Holm, was involved in the local theater and said, "You've got a good voice. We need singers." So my first show at the Opera House was chorus line, where I was a bad dancer, but a really good singer.
What did you play?
Oh, I was literally just in the chorus. My first 2 words on stage was touring companies.
Excellent. Any other shows you've been in?
Oh my gosh. I went on then I was in Kiss Me Kate. I was in the 1940s Radio Hour. I was in The Nerd. I was Paulina in Death and the Maiden. I directed I directed Marvin's Room. I directed a Marx Brothers one, which right now the name of it is out of my mind. As those things happen, I've directed the Vagina Monologues for many, many years as fundraisers for the Caring Place and also the Haven House out in Hammond. And I directed Wait Until Dark. And then in more recent years, I started doing cameos, and cameos seem to be where I shine because I've won a couple of awards from the NEDF, the Northwest Indiana Excellence in Theater Foundation, for my cameo roles in 9 and also in The Drowsy Chaperone. And I was also in a play over at Beatniks in Hammond called Sordid Lives.
Okay.
Where I played Bitsy Mae Harlan, and I was brought in to sing country songs in between scenes.
It's so interesting because the music, I first became aware of you through writing, not through music. And so in doing some of the background work on you, I to learn more about you, I read your blog on grief, really, and I'm sure that's those songs. Most of those songs, are they from that time? And the album From the Left Side of My Heart, are those what those songs are addressing? Because for me, grief is almost akin to those bamboo finger traps. The more you resist or fight it, the tighter it becomes, and you can only free yourself by submitting or relaxing and taking it step by step. And your blog was so beautiful. And yeah.
Yes, actually, the songs, there were only 2 songs on the album that were not written in the last 2.5 years. And Dervish Heart was one of them. And the other one was Eve Got Bored. And all of the rest of the songs kind of take me on this, and hopefully the listeners, on a journey from the place where we who are grieving our loved ones find ourselves saying, oh my God, I just want them back. How can I bring them home? Which the title of the first song is Bring You Home, to Take Me Home, where it's more of a release of living back into the life that I still have yet to live without my husband, who passed a little over 2 years ago now. So those songs are kind of a journey from grief to finding more meaning.
Well, tell us a little bit about Dervish Heart, and then we'll take a listen to that. Just set that up.
Dervish Heart, I'm a huge fan of the poet Rumi, and also the other Persian poets Kabir and Rabia, and their concept of the love relationship between God and a person is the seeker and the sought, or the beloved and the lover. And so I love that concept so much that I wrote a song around it. But as I was writing it, I realized that it could also be considered a love song between 2 people. And it's up to you how you decide to take it.
Well, let's take a listen to that. This is from Patti Shaffner's From the Left Side of My Heart, Dervish Heart.
Bright light on fingertips, sweet perfume on skin and lips, rising up to meet the kiss that I know is there. And I'm dancing round the room in my bare feet, whirling like a dervish in the desert heat, waiting for the love that I know is true. It's always there. It's always there. It's always there. This love is true, and we find each other in the dark, speaking the same words, heart to heart. And I see myself reflected in my lover's eyes, dance in the direction of that sweet surprise. Open wide the doors so love may come inside. And the world is spinning softly as I'm standing still. I lean against the moment at my windowsill, watch the stars that fall into my eyes until I see what's true. It's always there. It's always there. It's always there. This love is true, and we find each other in the dark, dancing the same way, heart to heart. Speaking the same way, heart to heart, It's always there. It's always there. It's always there. This love. It's always there.
And that was Patti Shaffner, and that's from her From the Left Side of My Heart album, Dervish Heart. That was excellent, Patti.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Esther.
So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing lately. You're performing. I know you're performing all over the place. We actually set up for an interview years ago, and somehow that fell through and we were doing the show live. But, tell us about your performance, where you're going, and also, how's COVID impacted you this past year?
COVID has impacted me a great deal. First of all, because it happened within the first year after my husband died. So learning to live alone and then learning to live alone in COVID when I was really isolated. I'm fortunate that because of my connections musically, I've been able to do Zoom concerts and be parts of online open mics and live shows that way, which had been great. And then the Acorn Theater in Three Oaks, Michigan has always been very generous toward me. And so last year I had a couple of opportunities to perform outside. This year, thanks again to the Acorn and also to the American Music School in Three Oaks, I have been able to have a total of 9 gigs. The last one was just this last Sunday for the Pause for Humanity. That's PAWS organization in Three Oaks. And it's been just delightful. The next thing I'm actually doing is one song for a wedding on September 11th. And then in December, currently, I'm scheduled at the Wild Rose Moon in Plymouth, Indiana, along with Anna P.S. We're sharing the stage that night on December 4th. So I'm excited that I actually have something coming up because personally, I'm going to be facing a hip replacement here. And so I'm going to have recovery time, some downtime, but I'll still be writing.
So when you perform, is it just songs or do you tell stories as well? Because you're a very compelling storyteller.
Thank you. Well, actually, I took a couple of storytelling classes last year, and one with Scott Whitehair out of Chicago and one with Michigan, who has a storytelling class. And I've started to incorporate more stories into my performances. So if it's just me in a concert setting, yes, I want to be able to incorporate those stories. But a lot of my performances this year, I was involved in the Carole King music with the Acorn Theater with 4 other women. And so there was no storytelling other than telling stories about Carole King.
What artists have influenced you musically? Who do you look to? Who's inspired you? What's music that you like to listen to?
I love jazz, and if you put me in front of a jazz combo, I will sing jazz in a hot minute. That's my favorite to do. So I love Ella Fitzgerald. I really admire people like Liz.
Billy Foster. I know you played with Billy.
I have played with Billy Foster and Bruce Evans as well.
Yeah.
I've worked with both of those guys, and I just love them. They're wonderful people.
We just adore Billy and Renee so much.
They're so wonderful. And Billy is such a wonderful, talented piano player. So jazz singers, but also from my generation, Joni Mitchell, Joan Baez, even Peter, Paul, and Mary. That's kind of where I got my first start, was trying to imitate their stuff when I was in high school. So those have been huge influences. I'm also very strongly influenced by world music and world music rhythms and Latin rhythms. I try to incorporate that all into my music. And Dervish Heart carries a little bit of a Middle Eastern. It's got the Middle Eastern flair to it, so it's got a little bit of that goes with it. And I love to scat sing, too. So
Good. Well, tell us about I Will Still Be There, which is one of the other songs on your current album, From the Left Side of My Heart, and we'll take a listen to that shortly.
Okay, that one has got an interesting story to it. When David died, someone gave me a gift of that had a heart made out of birch bark on a piece of blue yarn that I hung up by my guitars. And in the middle of the winter, I decided I was going to hang it outside as soon as the weather got nice. And I took it over by my front door. And from the time it took me to walk from my front door to my kitchen, the entire first verse and the melody had popped into my brain. And I am still to this day convinced that it is a direct gift from my husband. I feel that in my bones. And so that's what this song is. It's a reminder that I'm still there.
Well, let's take a listen to that. I Will Still Be There from the left side of my heart, Patti Shaffner.
Hang a wooden heart from a branch in a willow tree. Let it weather there and remember me. Let grace and time do the work they will. When the heart is gone, I will be here still, loving you. In your darkest night, when my face you cannot see, close your eyes and let your heart soar free. I will come to you on the softest wings. You will hear my voice as the night bird sings, loving you. Everything must end. That's how it all begins again. And if you should doubt that my love is true, here's what I would have you do. Plant a seed in the earth so warm and sweet. There let it rest and through the winter keep. As spring does come and the seed will grow, when you see that green, you will surely know that I'm loving you. Everything must end. That's how it all begins again. But if you should doubt that my love is true, here's what I would have you do. Hang a wooden heart from a branch in a willow tree. Let it weather there and remember me. Let grace and time do the work they will. When the heart is gone, I will be here still.
And once again, off her new album, Patti Shaffner, that was From the Left Side of My Heart, I Will Still Be There.
You know, Patti, I'm going to touch again on your blog, which I think is just so important. Not only for you, of course, but for anybody who reads it. It's incredibly touching and deep. And kind of, so after I read it all, I kind of thought that this is sort of like the addendum to life almost, where, and I'm just going to quote you, where you, says you go into this very, and I'm trying to think if it was everything gets changed. And I don't think this quote is from that one, but that was the one that like really struck me. By no means do I suggest or imagine that this is true for all. And it was I'm so glad that you added that to that particular blog post.
Thank you. Yeah, it's important for grievers to be able to feel as though they are witnessed, and everybody's grief is unique. And that's why I put that in there, to make sure that people knew that. I'm actually taking a grief educator course right now with David Kessler, and hope that to further my work in that area. Yeah. So thanks for asking about that. And you can find that on, actually, you can access all of that information on my website, jazzdakini.com. And if you need that spelled, it's JAZZDAKINI.com. Or you just look my name up, Patti Shaffner, and you can find my website. And all of the access to everything that I do is there, including my calendar.
That's great, Patti. Well, we wrap up. What's your next upcoming concert just coming up real shortly?
Not until December 4th at the Wild Rose Moon in Plymouth, Indiana. I'm going to be sharing the stage with Anna P.S., who is from South Bend, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Well, we'd like to thank you, Patti Shaffner from Miller Beach, Indiana. You can find her at jazzdakini.com. Her new album with 14 songs from the left side of my heart. And we really appreciate you coming on Art in the Air. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Larry. Thank you, Esther. I really appreciate it.
Take care.
It's always there, this love. It's always there.
You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM. I'd like to welcome to Art on the Air, a post-punk electronic band from Chicago who just released their second EP, Interrupter, on August 21st. And they have a great band. It's called Theyrgy. It's John Doyle, Tony Hooper, Jack Baumer, and Michael Fabiano. Welcome to Art on the Air.
Thanks so much. Cheers. Thank you.
Aloha. Welcome.
Well, let's just run down your bios, and I'm going to start with John first, because I think you were the one who founded the group. But tell us a little bit about your background, and we'll go through all the guys in the band.
Sure. Thanks, Larry. I've been in the music industry for a number of years. Jack and I have been in and out of groups for a number of years as well. But I guess the notable backstory of me would be I worked for about 4 or 5 years for producer Johnny Kay of Groove Master Recording and Disturbed, Three Doors Down fame. And after kind of being a studio rat for 4 or 5 years, I got burned out with not being able to actually create music. So I stepped away from that, and Jack and I kind of eventually found our footings with each other and just started kind of creating music again. And on a whim, I just saw on Facebook thread that my old buddy from high school, Mike Fabiano, is now collecting a number of expensive synthesizers and modulators. And I was like, wow, that's kind of like the direction I want to go in. I just kind of dropped him a line. I said, hey, why don't you come out and jam with me and Jack? And I didn't think anything of it. And sure enough, we were jamming out in the basement and starting to create music. And then Tony hopped in shortly after. Jack was like, hey, we should bring Tony in. He's a solid bass player. Let's round this out. And that's kind of how it got started.
Did I read that you're all longtime friends before the band came together? I mean, yes, high school, Michael with the high school, yes. But what about Tony? Were you a longtime friend as well?
Oh, yeah. John and Jack, I've known since high school, sophomore year, I think. John and I used to carpool back in the day to high school.
For sure.
It's so wonderful.
So, Tony, tell us about yourself a little bit. You're a bass and guitar and synthesizer on this.
Yeah. So I've been playing in and out of bands, Jack early on, back when I was in my young 20s. And I've always been drawn to like lyrics in music. So I went to Columbia College, got my Bachelor of Arts there. I studied a bunch of things like many Columbia College students do. So it was sound engineering, a little bit of music theory, and I was involved with the poetry program there a lot. So I got to workshop with a lot of interesting poets, gave me unique ideas on language and how to use it creatively. But that was my initial draw to music, was the lyrics first, and then the feeling behind a singer or a vocalist and how they express their lyrics. And then from there was the music. And then early on, I just started practicing as a kid.
So are the lyrics done collaboratively, or do you do a lot of them? Because a lot of them read like poetry.
They're all John.
I think that the guys will be shy to admit, but they definitely help me a lot. But a lot of them come from my own private, dark or pleasant thoughts, and I bring the lyrics in, and those guys tell me this is cheesy or this is fantastic, keep going with that, or they might suggest stuff, and I'm open to anything. So I hate to say it's me, because I think I write lyrics based on what I feel from at the time, and these guys bring a passion and an energy to me that inspires me to write these lyrics. So I'd say it's a mutual creation.
Because they are very like washed ashore in a bottle of broken glass. It's like very poetic. So
I could make a comment.
Yeah, that came out. Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
Go ahead, Jack.
A lot of times the four of us will make music on our own to bring to the group. And what's really blown me away a lot recently about John is that I can come up with some clever song titles, like the song you mentioned, "The Teeth Are Currency."
Yes,
I came up with that title, but I'm not really much of a lyricist, and so oftentimes I'll come up with a title and just put it on the track that I sent to John. And then 20 minutes later, he'll come back with all the lyrics. And it really blows my mind. So there's a lot of that going on with this.
Well, Jack, since we're on you, tell us a little bit about your biography, about yourself.
Well, my name's Jack Bomber. Some people call me Jackson. I am a music producer and recording engineer. I grew up with all these guys here. And I play in a bunch of different projects. I have a art space and music studio in Berwyn, Illinois. And I've just, since I was 15 or 16, seeing these guys playing their early projects, I was inspired to pick up the bass. And so I'm a fairly accomplished bass player. But over time, as a producer, I sort of branched out into other things, drum programming, synthesizers, guitars, singing, all that kind of stuff. But I just love to make music, and I really, these guys kind of understand my sensibilities because we came from the same place, and so we have a pretty good understanding of where each other wants to go. So that's kind of how this project formed, and how I got involved.
So, Michael, now it's your turn. Tell us about your story with the rest of the guys.
Sure. Yeah. So I actually met John on, I believe, my first day of high school, like as I was walking in the door. I think he had like a band t-shirt on, and he said it was a cool shirt, and we were kind of fast friends after that, all through high school.
Which band do you remember?
I believe it was KMFDM, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, and so after high school, I kind of got involved with music in a bit of a different way, putting on more of electronic events. So I threw a lot of club nights and rave parties and that type of thing, and came from like a very drum and bass techno kind of background. And through that and DJing and stuff, I started to pick up some synthesizers and drum machines and stuff, and making kind of sound experiments. I was never in a band before. I have no real music training, so it was just kind of like sound experiments and putting together like electronic compositions. So the band has been a whole new challenge for me. Working with these guys, they're sometimes I feel like they're very talented musicians, and I'm kind of tagging along. But it's been a lot of fun, and I've learned a ton from these guys, and hopefully, through my just experimentation and my taste in sounds and stuff, I've contributed to the band that way.
Well, I want to talk about your upcoming EP, which actually has been released, Interrupter. And let's talk about the first track on the Unimportant Truth. Go ahead and set that up for us, and we'll take a listen to it in just a moment. Whichever one you want to take that.
I guess I could talk about it. I mean, the lyrics are kind of derivative of three kind of events that were circulating in my mind. And the first event was, I remember hearing on NPR of all sakes, on my way into work one morning, heard the story of this this like high C-suite level CTA director or Chicago Transit Authority, had been found dead. He committed suicide and on the train tracks. And I thought, wow, how crazy is that? You know, this guy, and I guess there was like a backstory. He was involved with some corruption. I don't know exact details of the event, but so that just kind of registered me. What a unique story. He worked for the train company and he died on the train tracks. And then I also thought about all the pressures, maybe somebody in that frame or position in their career, you know, who is involved, just a random person involved with corruption, and how they go through life trying to live in that fast lane, in that kind of burning sphere of existence that you know is going to burn out eventually. And I thought how you would live with that. And so the lyrics are kind of derivative of that. And also this thing, you know, just kind of just general not wanting to accept the unimportant truth that there's an end point to this place in time you put yourself, this I guess a aggressive approach to life, you know. So I think that's where the lyrics came from.
Well, let's take a listen to it from Interrupter, the EP by Theyrgy, Unimportant Truth.
Looking at the sun, looking at the mass confusion, riddled with the feeling the shadows of the east have won. Listening to the ground, listen to the maggots quaking, rumble of the fumble as the beasts make their presence known, shaking it loose, ripping up the fabric mainframe, tying up the lifeline, manic is the light below. Truth is hard to find. All seem to blind, blinded by the noise. The wars rage inside. They say we all have a part to play, but then I woke up to find this way. I only wanted to find the truth, so unimportant it can be proved. Unimportant truth. Sitting in the air, searching for your magic moment. Maybe you can change me, alter time, your memory's blown. Summon your wits, somehow we miscalculated. Fogging up the rear view, sorry but that ship has flown. Open up the pit, rushing to misplace your judgment. Falsify the document, flush away the evidence. Down, down, down. Open up your wrists. Now it's time to meet your maker. Owning up to nothing, no regrets, your fate's below, below, below. They say we all have a part to play, but then I woke up to find this way. I only wanted to find the truth, so unimportant it can be proved. They say we all have a price to pay, but then I hope for a chance to stay. I only wanted to find the proof, so unimportant it can be true. Unimportant unimportant it's hard to find, and the more we seek we're blind, blinded by the noise. From
And that was Unimportant Truth, Interrupter, EP, Theyrgy. A very interesting piece. And yeah, now that I hear the lyrics and hear it in context, it really is something. You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM.
So I'm curious as to how you got together, like in a non-pandemic situation, to write. So, John, you said you do the lyrics, and Jackie, you said that you'll present a title. So, who's working on? Are you collaboratively working on the music part, or is that you, John, while you're coming up with the lyrics? And then, what has it been like in this pandemic time? How have you been able to maintain practicing together?
I think Tony would be really good at answering this one. I mean, because he kind of drives a lot of that in some ways. Same with Jack.
Well, on our first EP, we got together a handful of times and jammed. And John and Jack are good arrangers, so they went through the tape and arranged the songs, and then we just kind of built them up that way. The second EP was different in that, as Jack mentioned earlier, we do pitch ideas to each other all the time. And those songs kind of formed out of our own individual ideas, where the rest of us would take them home, work them ourselves, and contribute our parts. Right when the pandemic hit, we kind of all just stopped for a little bit to kind of get ourselves together personally. And from there, we had weekly Zoom meetings. So we would jump on a Zoom call, discuss what needed to be done on tracks, where we stood with them, and worked it out that way. So it was quite different. Later on in the pandemic, kind of like our current state, we do get together again weekly as much as we can when life allows it. And we're back to trying to write in the way we did with our first EP, while also bringing in this new tool set of working on our own ideas collectively.
So, Michael, how does it work with you then? Because you said that you just kind of add in the sound. So at what point do your talents come into play with that, with adding these other sounds?
Sure. In the first EP, when we started working on that, I kind of came to the table with a bunch of stuff that I had pre-recorded, different soundscapes that I kind of recorded on modular synthesizers or whatever. And in a lot of cases, that became kind of the starting point to some of those tracks. And the guys would kind of come in with stuff on top of that. The second EP was quite a bit more challenging for me, where ideas would come in from other guys in the group, and I would kind of have to, figure out what they were doing. And it while it was challenging, it was also a very good learning experience for me to get some, music theory behind me and start to learn how to write as part of a band. It was a lot of me going back to the guys and saying, okay, well, what key is this in again? And we kind of figuring it out that way. But, over time, it started to become a little bit easier.
Jack, you are the engineer that puts it all together?
Well, it's funny. I was just listening to what Mike had to say, and I was thinking, when we all get together and we play together, I almost lay back more and I let these three guys sort of jam the ideas, because I like to sit with the idea by myself in the studio, just like listening to it a million times, trying a million things till I get my part right. If I play a bunch of wacky guitar in our group session, I can't take that away. And so I'll oftentimes just let these guys sort of work out an idea when we're all together, and then I'll add my flavor to it later. And then John and I, or the four of us, will arrange things. And so I'm always kind of thinking of how we're going to record it and produce it later. And I tend to lay back a little bit more when we're all together jamming.
Excellent. We want to hear the one more song, Spiral Collider, from Theyrgy. Set that up for us real quick, and we'll take a listen to that.
Sure. So Spiral Collider was kind of started with an idea that Jack had worked on, this loop that he'd put together with a friend of ours, Sean Brennan. It was just really nice, kind of pleasant piano loop with some really kind of airy sounds in it. And he sent it to me right before the pandemic hit. And then the pandemic hit, and it was like, whoa, this is quickly spiraling down, and there's no way we can avoid it. We're just on that one-way ticket. There's no way to drive off of this highway. So the song isn't really much about the pandemic as much as it's just kind of like the momentum of feeling like you're kind of in this limbo period of nothingness, of not knowing what's next, and you're kind of heading through this spiral. And at the same time, this title Spiral Collider is also kind of alluding to the particle collider, right? The particle collider, it's in CERN, and how that they're creating black holes and all this crazy wizardry in physics and such. And it just occurred to me that it's almost like a singularity. You see that in one hand you've got the whole world heading in this one direction all of a sudden, and no one really understands why it's happening. And at the same time, it's almost kind of like we're in this particle collider, like we've created a new trajectory for the future. And that's kind of where those lyrics came from.
Very good. Well, we're going to take that music to listen out. That's John Doyle, Tony Hooper, Jack Bomber, and Michael Fabiano Theyrgy. We're going to listen to Interrupter EP, the Spiral Collider. Thank you so much for being on Art of the Air, and we'll take a listen to that as we play it out.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Listening to Art in the Air, and we'd like to thank our guests this week on WVLP 103.1 FM and Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM, our weekly program covering arts and arts events throughout Northwest Indiana and beyond. Art in the Air is heard every Friday at 11 a.m. and rebroadcast Monday at 5 p.m. on WVLP. Art in the Air streams live at WVLP.org and is rebroadcast on Monday at 5 p.m. Plus is also heard on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM every Sunday at 7 p.m. also streaming live at lakeshorepublicradio.org and is available on Lakeshore Public Radio's website as a podcast. Our spotlight interviews are also heard Wednesdays on Lakeshore Public Radio. Thanks again to Greg Kovach, WVLP station manager, and Tom Maloney, vice president of radio operations for Lakeshore Public Radio. Our theme music is by Billy Foster with a vocal by Renee Foster. Art in the Air is supported by an Indiana Arts Commission Arts Project grant and the National Endowment for the Arts. Underwriters for Art in the Air, Walt Breidinger of Paragon Investments and Mary Levan, Arts Patron. Art in the Air is always looking for financial support. We'd like to thank our current supporters. If you're looking to support Art in the Air, Esther and I especially would invite you to become an underwriter of this program in particular. We have information on our website at breck.com/AOTA. You can find out support information there. So don't just be an Art on the Air listener. Become a supporter or underwriter in whatever amount you're able to do so we continue to bring you great content and this great local programming. And like I say every week, don't give till it hurts. Give till it feels good. And you'll feel so good about supporting Art on the Air. Information about Art on the Air is available at our website, breck.com/AOTA. That's Breck, BRECH.com/AOTA. That includes a complete show archive, spotlight interviews, plus our show is available on multiple podcast platforms, including NPR One. Please like us on Facebook, Art on the Air, WVLP, for information about upcoming shows and interviews. If you're interested in being a guest or sending us information about your arts-related event or exhibit, please email us at aota@breck.com. That's aota@breck, BRECH.com, or contact us through our Facebook page. Your hosts were Larry Breckner and Esther Golden, and we invite you back next week for another episode of Art on the Air.
Aloha, everyone. Have a splendid week.
Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. You're in the know with Esther and Larry. Art on the Air today. Stay in the know with Larry and Esther. Art on the Air our way. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world